There is a hot drink in your hand right now, or there was an hour ago. You made it before you were fully awake. You did not weigh the decision. You did not think about the chemistry. You just reached for it, the way you reach for the light switch in the dark before your eyes have adjusted because your body already knows where it is. You needed it to start. That need, the moment before the first sip, when your brain is telling you something is missing, is older than any habit you have ever developed. It is older than any habit humanity has developed as a species. It is not a habit at all. It is older than habits. What you are feeling before the coffee reaches you has a name. Science arrived at it late. The evidence that it exists has been sitting in the archaeological record for 60,000 years, waiting to be read. Scientists call it the fourth drive. The first three are the ones your body announces clearly: hunger, thirst, sleep. When they are not met, your body escalates. It stops asking. It creates urgency that overrides everything else until the need is addressed. The fourth drive does not announce itself the same way. It is quieter. But according to the evidence, it is equally old, equally universal, and equally written into what you are. Every human culture that has ever been studied has a psychoactive practice. This is not a figure of speech. Anthropologists working across every continent, every century, every level of technological development have found the same thing. Something that deliberately changes the chemistry of the mind. Fermented drinks, smoke from specific plants, tea from leaves found only in one corner of the world, traded across 10,000 miles of ocean to reach people who needed them. The universality is too consistent to be coincidence, too old to be trend, too widespread to be cultural borrowing. When something appears in every human society independently, without contact, without shared language, without any mechanism for transmission, it stops being cultural. It becomes biological. Something in the brain is looking for something. It has been looking for a very long time. In 2003, botanist M.D. Merlin published a review in Economic Botany that traced the archaeological record of psychoactive plant use across the Old World. He was not writing about drug culture. He was writing about time. The record does not start with civilization. It starts before civilization existed. Merlin documents opium poppy seeds at Neolithic lakeside settlements in Switzerland 6,000 years ago. Ephedra pollen sealed inside a burial site at Shanidar Cave in what is now Iraq. The same site where someone placed flowers around a Neanderthal body more than 60,000 years ago. Cannabis seeds burned in ritual braziers in pit graves in what is now Romania from the 3rd millennium BCE. Bone inhalation tubes excavated at Chavín de Huántar in Peru, chemically tested and found to carry residues of nicotine-bearing wild tobacco and vilca beans, a compound whose active ingredient is structurally related to DMT, from at least 1,000 years before the Spanish arrived. Every time archaeologists dig into sites where humans lived, they find the same layer. Evidence that the people who were there were deliberately seeking altered states. The methods change. The plants change. The continents are often separated by oceans, with no evidence of contact between them. The finding does not change. Merlin's conclusion is careful but precise. The human relationship with psychoactive plants is not a product of any particular civilization. Predates civilization. It may predate the things we typically use to define it: writing, agriculture, permanent settlement. Before we built cities, we were already looking for the plants. But here is where it gets stranger. It is not only humans. In 2002, ethnobotanist Giorgio Samarini published Animals and Psychedelics, a systematic documentation of dozens of animal species that deliberately seek out and consume mind-altering substances, not by accident, and not because the substances are concealed inside food they are trying to eat for nutrition. Reindeer in Siberia seek out fly agaric mushrooms and travel significant distances to find them. Their behavior after consuming them is distinctive and recognizable enough that the Siberian communities who observed it built entire ritual frameworks around it. The animal was not being corrupted by the mushroom. The animal was showing the humans where to look. Elephants return to fermented marula fruit deliberately, repeatedly, choosing it when other food is available. Domestic cats do not eat catnip. They roll in it, return to it, seek it when nothing about their environment requires them to seek anything. The goats of Ethiopia discovered coffee berries 900 years ago. Their behavior: restless, energized, unable to sleep, is what led a shepherd to notice the effect. The goats were not malfunctioning. They were demonstrating the fourth drive. The urge to alter consciousness appears in species that have no religion, no ritual, no cultural framework for what they are doing. That means the drive did not emerge from those things. Came first. The ritual came after, as a way of organizing and directing something that was already happening in every nervous system in the landscape. Your body still carries this. Not as metaphor, literally. Caffeine works by blocking adenosine receptors, the receptors that accumulate the chemical signal of tiredness across the day. It does not create energy. It does not wake you up in any fundamental sense. What it does is intercept the signal that tells your brain you need to rest, long enough for you to function while the signal quietly keeps building underneath. That receptor is ancient. It exists in every mammal with a central nervous system. The coffee plant did not evolve caffeine to help humans start their mornings. It evolved caffeine as a pesticide to make its leaves bitter and toxic to insects. The fact that the molecule fit a slot in the human brain was not designed by anyone on either side of the exchange. The brain had the slot first. The molecule found it. This is not a metaphor for addiction. Addiction is a pathology of a normal mechanism that evolved before addiction had any context to exist in. The slot was there before the plants found it. The plants found it because the slot was already open. You are reaching for coffee this morning not because the habit formed at some point in your adult life. You are reaching for it because the receptor has been there for millions of years, and your nervous system has been looking for something to put in it since long before your species had a word for looking. In 2002, Michael Winkelmann, at the time a professor at Arizona State University, published a paper in American Behavioral Scientists titled Shamanism as Neurotheology and Evolutionary Psychology. His argument was not mystical. It was architectural. Winkelmann showed that the altered states produced by shamanic practice, achieved through rhythmic drumming, psychoactive plants, extended fasting, or trance, consistently activate the same neural pathways. The integrative circuits that connect the brain's oldest, most evolutionarily primitive systems to the frontal cortex. These are not random outcomes or culturally constructed experiences. They follow patterns that recur across every culture that has ever been studied. Different methods, different geographies, different centuries, the brain arrives at similar states by different routes. The molecule was always different. The receptor was always the same. Caffeine targets adenosine. Psilocybin targets serotonin 2A receptors. Alcohol modulates GABA. Nicotine binds to acetylcholine receptors. Mescaline targets dopamine and serotonin. These are entirely different compounds, from entirely different plants, developed in entirely different corners of the world across millions of years of botanical evolution, in species that never encountered each other. They all reach brain states that the human nervous system appears to have been waiting for. Winkelmann's conclusion is that the altered state is not a side effect of cultural practice. It is the reason the practice exists. The brain was not accidentally changed by the ritual. The ritual was built to produce the change. The function, integrating across neural systems, connecting the ancient and the new, finding states the ordinary waking brain cannot reach on its own, appears to be something the brain needs. The shaman in Siberia and the person making coffee at 6 in the morning are solving the same problem. The solution looks different. The problem has not changed for 60,000 years. The cup is still warm. It has a brand name, a roasting process with a patent, a supply chain running through 4 countries before it reaches your kitchen. The mechanism that makes it work, adenosine receptor antagonism, was formally described in 1958 by Julius Axelrod at the National Institutes of Health. You can look it up. The chemistry has a name. The history has a date. The person in Siberia who watched the reindeer seek out fly agaric in the snow did not know about adenosine receptors. He knew the reindeer came back for it. He knew what happened when they found it. He knew, without language for it, that the drive was real. You have not learned to want this. You were born wanting it. Every nervous system in the animal kingdom appears to have been born wanting something like it. The receptor was built into you before your species had fire. The fourth drive was never about getting away from the world. It was about getting further into it, further into the layers of experience the ordinary brain cannot reach without help. The cup is the latest version of the oldest question your nervous system has ever asked. It is asking it again this morning.